Last but not least, we have North Dakota with a population of 760,000.
And the only reason why we have 760,000 is because we had an oil boom. Otherwise, we'd still be at 650. So I'm Steph Weigel. I'm the pavement management engineer for the North Dakota DOT. Along with me is Barry Konitschke. He works in our maintenance division. I'm going to focus more on just pavement management and project selection. So a little bit of background is we do our own data collection. We have a PathRunner XP. You can see there the different things it collects, like IRI, rutting, faulting, distresses. Our collection starts in August, takes about 10 to 12 weeks. We have two operators. We collect approximately 8,600 miles every year. We do the 4 lanes, both directions every year, and the 2 lanes we swap directions. All of it's done in-house, like I said. We've been collecting our own pavement condition data since 1991. In 2013, the vehicle we had at that time, we did an upgrade to it to make it fully automated. So now we are completely fully automated with our collection and analysis for cracking. We just got a brand new PathRunner this year, and then we also do our own in-house traffic data collection. For our asset management software, we also use DTIMs. We have 2 asset classes that are programmed into DTIMs right now. One is considered our pavement preservation. So the decision trees are based on our highway performance classification and pavement type. We have 5 different classifications, and it mainly focuses on our pavement condition. And there you can see a list of the treatments. We do not include seals in our DTIMs because we try to do that more like on a time-based cycle. And then there's some examples of the triggers that we use for pavement preservation. The other asset class we have, I created in about 2014. It's called functional capacity, or also freight and personal mobility. There the decision trees are based on our freight levels rather than our classification. And the main focus is on roadway and structure restrictions rather than the condition. And that has its own set of treatments, triggers, all that stuff. So it's completely separate from our pavement preservation. So some of the ways that we use our DTIMs is for our draft and final STIP meetings. I'll present different recommendations from DTIMs and results from DTIMs. Some things we do, or I do, is I compare the projects that were selected by DTIMs with a constrained budget versus the projects that we have in our STIP, so we can see like what percentage of a match we're getting. And then I also show different graphs, like if DTIMs were able to pick the projects versus if we followed our STIP, how the IRI would look after the 20-year analysis. Also, like the percentage of our miles that would be in the good, excellent condition. Some other things we do with DTIMs is every fall we meet with our districts and we give them recommendations from DTIMs. So they will get a recommendation for every single segment of highway that we have based on a constrained budget and an unconstrained. So of course the constrained budget will sometimes have a do nothing because it just doesn't have the money for it. So then we always give them the unconstrained, so that if they're thinking that they wanted a certain project on a certain segment but DTIMs didn't pick anything, it may not be that DTIMs doesn't think it needs something, it's just it doesn't have the money for it, but it would show on the unconstrained budget run that it would pick a project. And another thing we do on the functional capacity side of it is we have a restriction map that is out online, and it shows all of our, I guess you could call them, freight bottlenecks. And so some of the restrictions that we have programmed into DTIMs are load, saturation, structure height, structure width, and roadway width. Here's just an example of a decision tree. I don't expect that you can read it, just showing that they can get fairly complicated. White circles are the triggers, and then the colored ones are the treatment. This is one of the graphs that I would show during our STIP presentation. This one shows the network IRI, comparing if DTIMs picked the projects on a constrained budget versus if we followed our projects that we have in the draft STIP. Same thing here, a comparison, but this one shows our percentage miles that are in the good, excellent range, and also our percent VMT in the good, excellent range. Another type of information I show, that's the IRI. And then we have what we call a graphing tool. So this is an interactive tool that in the highlighted boxes, we can put either an increase in budget or decrease in budget. And then once you put that number in there, all the data down there below showing the average network IRI and all of that, that'll change instantly. Upper management likes it, so we can put an increase or decrease in there and they can see what happens to our network IRI over the 20 years. This is an example of the restriction map that I talked about that showed essentially freight bottlenecks. In the project selection process, the district engineers, we have 8 districts, they are the ones who pick our projects. So every year they can go into our priority system from December to February, and they put what projects they want. They only do it for the lower 3 tiers of the highway performance classification system, because for our interstate and interregional, we actually have a yearly review that we do. So there's a group of us from central office plus the district engineer from whatever district we're in. We will drive all of our interstate system every year and determine for each segment what the next fix is going to be and when. And then we will also do that for the interregional, but the interregional is much larger, so we do that just half each year. District engineers are also giving the DTIM's recommendations, but they do not have to follow them at all if they don't choose to. And then once the priorities are submitted, then the programming division within central office will do the final programming based off of the budget we have. Any questions?
So on your deterioration curves and whatnot, is that based on just overall condition, or is that by distress, or?
So we have a deterioration for both, or for IRI and our cracking, and any other trigger that's on our decision tree that could possibly have a deterioration to it. They all have their own separate curves.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.